On the occasion of the passing of Valerie Harper, I spoke with Professor Jeremy Kagan, Professor of Cinematic Arts at University of Southern California, who directed Valerie Harper in Golda's Balcony, a picture made based on the one-woman play she performed off-Broadway and touring America. He also directed The Chosen with Maximilian Schell, Robbie Benson, and Rod Steiger. We talked about the image of the Jewish American, the American Israeli. We spoke about the contribution of Gentiles to the image of the Israeli and the American Jew in the public eye.
Here I am.
Okay.
I'm Jeremy Kagan. I am a filmmaker, film director. I direct television, direct movies, and I am a full tenured professor at the University of Southern California at the School of Cinematic Arts. Lots of words, but that's somewhat of my titles for what they're worth.
Uh-huh. You have directed 2 movies of seminal interest of the American Jewish representation in the United States. What were they?
I directed a movie called The Chosen, which is from Chaim Potuk's masterpiece. And actually, I directed a movie called Crown Heights for Showtime, which was about the Crown Heights riots. My first 2 features starred 2 Jewish actors, a picture called Heroes, Henry Winkler, and a picture called The Big Fix with Richard Dreyfuss. So I've had a lot of sort of Jewish subjects and characters in my movies, and then I directed Valerie Harper in Golda's Balcony.
Valerie Harper unfortunately passed away yesterday.
I already miss her. She was in my mind the last 2 days, and the way the mind works, sometimes we pick up energies, and then I just learned just hours ago that she had passed, although I know she was quite sick. And I wish her soul, her neshama, reaches a level of performance and giving that her being here in this planet exemplified for all of us, of the capacity to give. And Valerie's contribution to the Jewish community in America and to the Jewish community worldwide is a major gift to all of us. So I want to thank her soul and wish it a good journey. Golda's Balcony comes from a play that was written by William Gibson. Initially, this actually brilliant playwright had written a play with many, many characters in it. But as he saw it on Broadway, and even as Golda, who was still alive, Golda Meir actually saw it as well and came backstage and talked to him, he felt it really needed to be rethought. And then he came up with the idea of a one-woman show. And he rewrote the play, so that's what it became. And Valerie took that on and performed it around the country, around the United States, to audiences of 5,000 and 6,000, big theaters in major cities all across the country. And Valerie herself, this play, specifically about why the word Golda's Balcony, relates to the fact that supposedly there is a balcony in an area hidden in somewhere in the desert where all of the atomic bomb materials and research is done. And there's a balcony that goes down deep into the earth. And during the Yom Kippur War in 1973, Golda was faced with the possibility of using the bomb in order to save Israel from being destroyed by this surprise invasion from the Egyptians and Syrians. And she actually considered it. And since he knew that that was part of her consideration, and she sort of, when she saw the play, sort of said, "You got things right, but never said any more," that he wanted this play to deal with the great terror that we still have at this very moment of using nuclear weapons. And so that's the balcony that she went on to see where and how this all goes down.
Did Valerie Harper play Golda both on Broadway and the film?
She played it in New York. She played it in every major city in the United States. And then her partner, her husband, Tony Cacciati, and my sympathies go out to Tony right now because obviously it's a great loss for him. It's a great loss for all of us, but a personal great loss for him, and a time of grieving is what's happening for him, I'm sure. But he then said, let's make a movie of this. It's so successful. People love her performance. I mean, she had packed audiences everywhere she went. I went to see a performance in Phoenix 6,000 people, standing ovation, major applause. And I was so moved. I was crying twice in the midst of the piece because it's an emotional piece. And I went backstage to see her, and I saw her, and I started weeping, and she smiled and gave me a big hug. And I said, look, if there's any way I can help make this happen as a movie, I'll do it. We then came up with an idea, because there were limited finances, that we would do that all against, and this is a term that some of your viewers I'm sure know, which all against green screen, meaning there would be no sets. It would just be her against the green screen. And she plays more than Golda. She plays Golda's husband. She plays other characters that Golda had to deal with. And she would play all these characters. And sometimes she would play both of them, and I would make it so that in the film, she would be, quote, talking to herself. Mm-hmm. And then in the green screen, we created an entire environment. So when the war was happening, which is part of this story, we were able to get all the documentary footage from the war, and that all was playing behind her on these green screens that now no longer were green. And so if you watch the DVD, it's this incredible, energetic, rather sort of, I don't know if I call it experimental, because I mean so many movies have taken advantage of green screen, but it has its own feel. It's a fresh way of taking on a piece of theater and making it cinematic. And she was spectacular.
What role did Judaism or American Jewishness play in Valerie's life, having portrayed Rhoda Morgenstern for the years both on Mary and on her own show?
You know, I've talked to Valerie about this because she's not Italian, she's not Jewish, yet she's played these kind of characters and brought such reality to them. Now, there are two factors that allowed that to happen. One, it was a personal reality for Valerie. When she was a young person, some of her best friends were Jews, and she hung out with them and with their families. So she kind of knew the social relationships, the way certain people talk, the way that certain kinds of things happen between them, attitudes. She knew this. So it was very easy for her as an actor to recreate it. And some of these people, as I said, were her best friends. Mm-hmm. And as she grew up as a young woman, some of her best friends when she was a gypsy on Broadway, they were, and I know them, they were Jewish girls. And so this was part of her environment. She just was affected by it. But the other part is what a great actor can do. And that is find within themselves another human being and bring that to the fore. And that's, you know, when we watch great performances, we say, boy, look at this. How did they do that? And in my case, I've worked with 3 non-Jews. And these 3 non-Jews have created Jewish characters that I think are excessively believable to a Jew or to a non-Jew. Mm-hmm. Maximilian Schell and Rod Steiger in the movie that I mentioned, The Chosen. Rod played a Rebbe. He did his homework, but that Rebbe existed in him somewhere, and he brought it out. Maximilian played a more contemporary, intellectual Jew. Very easy, because he was a very smart guy on his own, to get to that kind of Jew. And Valerie, we've seen what she's played, from Rhoda to Golda. But I mean that a great actor finds those beings in them. And then there's a third factor. This is a little bit woo-woo, if some viewers would say. And that is, I actually think a Jewish neshama was inside, Jewish soul was inside somewhere deep in her. Now, that may be inside everybody, as I'm suggesting, and certainly an actress will find it, but I have a feeling somewhere that was there. So, I mean, we see Valerie continuously through her life stepping up and speaking for Israel, stepping up and speaking for Jewish concerns, stepping up and raising tzedakah for various Jewish issues. I mean, she just did this continuously, besides playing Jewish characters. And we owe her a lot.
What do you feel the Jewish people owe Gentiles who have helped establish Jewish identity in the public realm?
Well, I think first we have to recognize Torah itself, which is saying, you know, you need to be recognized that you once were a stranger, and you need to have compassion for the stranger. You need to feed that other person who is in need as much as you, because in essence, we're all created by Hashem. So recognizing people who are not Jews, who are making major contributions to helping both the acceptance of us as a people, the acceptance of Israel as a nation, we need to say thank you. And I want to say personally a major thank you to Valerie, because, you know, I hope people who watch this actually go get the DVD and watch the DVD and see who Golda was, created by her. And you will not think that's a non-Jew playing. You will think that's Golda. And now you will learn who Golda was and all of Golda's contributions to that nation and to us as a Jewish people. And by the way, on that DVD, if you're interested, there are people who knew Golda. I went and traveled this country and in Israel and interviewed people from Ehud Barak to people that were in her cabinet to ask what was it like to work with this remarkable human being. And so that's on the DVD too. So in honor of Valerie, go watch it and see what she was doing for us and see, in fact, what Golda did for us.